extremists and stand for the almighty truth. I'll bring you a non-traditional approach to the issues that impact us all the most. Platform where honesty and authenticity prevail. I'm your host, Malcolm Out Loud, America's ultimate brain thinker. Today we'll definitely get positively out loud. Good to be with you. Well, if you're interested in maximizing your potential, if you're interested in making a difference in the world around you, and if you're interested in being a better you, well, over the next hour, this production will definitely be for you. We'll explore three incredibly talented authors, people who are making a difference in the world, and three leaders who want to help others achieve maximum results in their lives. Let's get right to it. I want you to meet Michael Alden. Michael is one of America's most popular direct response hosts and personalities. He shares his path to prosperity in his new book, Ask More, Get More. Love the title. Michael, welcome. So let's talk about Ask More, Get More, Michael. Let me ask you, the premise of this, Ask More, Get More, do I compare this on a similar level to be, do, have? Is that a fair comparison?
Ask more, get more. It's hard to really compare it to anything else. When I came up with the concept of ask more, get more, I really started to again look around at others and realize that most people in life, aren't asking for what they want in life. They're just kind of thinking about it, dreaming about it, and hoping that it will happen without actually taking any sort of action. So I'm not really sure if that's a great comparison.
Yeah. Well, the whole idea of be, do, have, and of course Zig Ziglar, we all know Zig, and
sure.
was the fact that if you want to have, you've got to be first, and you have to do before you can have. And whereas other people, they flip it around, and so it's always been one of the it's a strong message. And I wonder, when I hear ask more, get more, it definitely piques one's curiosity to say, well, is that possible? Why is it that people don't ask for more? Why are we passive as a society now? What's going on?
Well, I think that's a great question, and one of the things that I really think it's a societal thing that when we're brought up as children, we're kind of taught that it's not okay to ask for more, that it's rude or it's greedy or you don't deserve it, and that perpetuates throughout life, and it gets worse and worse and worse. So as you get older and you start to climb the social ladder or the corporate ladder, it becomes more and more difficult to ask for more because most people don't feel like they're entitled to it, and that's what I try to dispel in the book. It says it's okay to ask for more, to step back, to stop the clock, so to speak, and to step back and say, it's okay for me to ask for more. There's nothing wrong with wanting more out of life. There's nothing wrong with wanting, maybe that promotion, maybe that nicer car, maybe that nicer house, or just ultimately wanting more out of your, your general life, just to be happy. There's nothing wrong with it. And too many people, Malcolm, are afraid to ask for more out of themselves, right? Out of others, and then ultimately out of life. And I think it's really something that's ingrained and kind of taught, which is unfortunate, when we're children, that it's not okay to ask for more, and that's absolutely
Michael, you
right.
bring up a great point. You bring up a great point, and I talk about that all the time. Actually, you really do. So much of us, and for those who have children, those that are listening in society, and have little ones. Our kids are shaped so early on in their life. I mean, by the time they're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I mean, the parade is sort of done. Whatever they're molded as and whatever they have become, and a lot of it is based on their surroundings, their atmosphere. And you're so right, Michael, you're very, very right. And, one of the things I always say, the old saying, don't run with scissors. Well, as a kid, I used to love to run with scissors. It's an expression, of course. But the point is, with kids, Michael, they always, it's like we tell them no. How many times, think about that, how many times do you tell young people no? And that's like a quick answer adults give, and it's really that negative attitude. And you're so right, they carry that through in life. I think it's the same way with Ask More. That's a great example because, a lot of our kids, they're afraid to ask for more because it's somehow not accepted, or that they're supposed to stay in line. You know what it is, Michael? I don't know if you agree with this or not, but it's almost like we need them to be conformist. We need them to conform to a certain look, a certain feel, or there's a certain way you're supposed to do things, little John or Miss Mary, and you need to pay attention to that. You agree with that?
Yeah, I do, and that's the problem, because if you just want to conform and be like everyone else, when we look at this world, right, so many people are disenfranchised. They're not happy. They're constantly making excuses. In my book, I coined the phrase, I call it excuse-tosis. And as a child, you need to let that poison out of your system and don't be a conformist, Don't run with scissors, but maybe you want to run with scissors with the rounded edges and take some risks. That's another thing, too. We're, as young children and as a society as a whole, we're very risk-averse. People are paralyzed and unable to make decisions. There's this famous drummer. His name is Richard Christie, and he's got this great story. He tries to buy three things: a basketball goal, a washer-dryer, and a fur coat at the same time. And he kept saying yes, no, yes, no. He didn't know what to do. And what I say to people is, you got to let that poison out of your system and make a decision. When you're, whether you're 6 years old, whether you're 60 years old, or 160 years old, the best part about it, Malcolm, is it really doesn't matter where you're at in life. You can ultimately, make those decisions and ask for more.
That's right. Yeah, great advice. That is great advice. By the way, let me tell folks now, your website, which is excellent information on there, michael-alden.com, ALDEN, michael-alden.com. And what I like especially on your site, Michael, is I love some of your commentary in your blog. Thank God I was born poor, from the projects to Picasso. It's mind the matter in your life is the matter. You got some very cool stuff on there, and great reading, by the way. So good site to go to, Michael-Alden. And so you say here on your site, I always want more out of life. Ask more from yourself, ask more from others, ask more from life. Now, I'm always accused of that myself, because it's the bar you set, the expectations. I expect a lot from the people around me, Michael, and I'm accused of that all the time, because some people call it demanding, and maybe it's because there's the perfectionist in me. I don't know what it is, but I think there are people like that who appreciate your platform and understand it, but there are a lot of people who don't really get what that means, and they don't understand about excellence and asking of more from people around you. That is sort of the key here, isn't it?
Well, it is, and again, like we talked about earlier, there's nothing wrong with it. And if you look at the most successful people in the world, yeah, they are demanding. They do ask for more. If you look at the rich and the famous, people that, if you really study them, like I have, and I'm sure you have as well, these people are asking for more out of themselves. When you see, like a famous musician or a famous, actor, they didn't just all of a sudden come up and become famous. These people are really working at it, and they're working at it because they're asking for more out of themselves. They're asking for more out of people around them. Maybe they have managers or agents, or even, if it's a band, they're asking for more out of their band members. In order to be successful, you need to ask more at least out of yourself, because you're not just, how many people, I'm almost 40 years old, and it drives me crazy. There are so many people that are just sitting there really just waiting for it to happen. They have all these ideas, and they think,
right.
I'm just gonna wake up one day and be successful, but it's never gonna happen unless you ultimately, again, ask for more to yourself.
Right. Let me ask you, why do, in your opinion, so many people fail, and we fail again and again and again? Is that a fair question? Why do so many people fail?
I think here's what it is that most people are afraid of success. They're not afraid of failure, and that's the thing, because what happens is when you become successful, a lot of people then are constantly being, looked at, and in society. Again, if you look at from the history of time, back when we had kings, people were excited when when the king was taken down, and for whatever reason, again, it's a human nature or it's a cultural thing that has stayed with us since the beginning of time. People are afraid of success because when you get to that level, then people are worried about, how do I maintain that? How do I? And what I say to people is, stop worrying about it. Stop worrying about what other people think. Whatever is success for you and me may be two different things. Success for you might be you want that classic, nice little Cape house with the white picket fence and the dog and the wife and the little SUV. If that's success for you, then congratulations, and you should strive for it. But if success for you is you want that multi-million-dollar house, you want to be that actor, you want to be that next singer, it's okay. And when you get to that point, don't worry about what anybody else thinks, and don't worry about failure. I was just listening to a quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the most successful people in the world know this. It's okay to fail. You know how many times I fail? I talk about it in my book. I declared bankruptcy. It's one of the worst things ever. I missed the bar exam twice. I took the SATs twice. All these different things happen. Failure, I don't call failure, by the way. You mentioned Zig Ziglar, and I learned this from him. I call them temporary defeats, right? Because if you don't have those temporary defeats, you're never going to know, where you can go and how high you can climb. You're going to suffer temporary defeats.
Well, it's what we learned. Yeah, it's what we learned. I'm so glad you just described success in the way you did, because I was going to go just after you a moment to find, so what do you think success is, Michael? And you nailed it down already. Success is, to reiterate to our audience, success really is it's the level of achievement in your mind. It's what you set out. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Like you said, it does not matter. If your success is, that you only want to work 4 hours a day and you want to kind of sit by the pool, or you want to have just a more casual, and that's success to you, well, guess what? You may be the most successful person on the planet. So success has nothing to do with money unless you've made that your mantra. So
exactly.
People
money is certainly something that makes this world go around, but it's not success, right? And like you just said, success is a moving target. It's a relative term. It's whatever it is you want it to be. And that's really it. It's whatever you want it to be. Again, if you want that big house, if you want millions of dollars, and you think that is success, and that's one of your goals.
Let me ask you that. Let me ask you this. This is important. This next piece I want to get with you on. We talked about being afraid of success, which you were just touching on. Now, I want to talk a moment about the culture, our society as a whole, and when we talk about why many people are afraid of success. And I bring it back to, we sort of have a class warfare attitude in this country of the haves and have-nots, which kind of plays somewhat into the tone of our conversation to a degree. And I'm talking about, there's this attitude, the pressure, the political pressure, the economy, jobs, the attitudes coming out of the headlines and the news and the fear and the fearmongers and what have you. Is our confidence in society today being molded by all these factors, and what can we do about it, Michael?
That's a great question. And here's one of the things I do. And again, I always try and learn from people before me and people around me that are successful, that have done things. And one of the things that I don't do, I don't watch the news. I don't read the newspaper. I don't let society tell me, what I should do. I don't let society, fill my mind with fears and insecurities, because every time I turn on the news, it's horrible. I don't want to know about the housing market crashing. I don't want to hear about, the next shooting. I don't want to hear about how the stock market crashed, because if I allow that to mold the way I think and the way I do things, I would have never started my business, Blue-Based Marketing, 5 years ago. By the way, I started it in 2009, and as you know, it was in the history of the world, the economy was an absolute disaster. I was growing my business. I wasn't listening to what other people were saying, and I was taking big risks. But that's just life. And again, the risks that I was taking in a business sense are the same type of risks that anyone needs to make in their own personal life with whatever they want to do. So I don't listen to what society tells us. And the most successful people in the world don't. Again, if you look at guys like Henry Ford or Rockefeller H.H. Heinz, like all these guys, they did the complete opposite. I tell a story in my book with this guy named Dean Graziosi. I did an interview with him on television, and he was a real estate guy, right? And he says, Mike, sometimes you need to think like a contrarian. I didn't know what the word meant. I got to be honest with you. I went back and I said, Dean, what did you mean by that? He goes, sometimes you have to do the complete opposite of what everybody says in order to be successful. And I think that's one of the things that has made me successful.
Michael, thank you. Thank you for sharing everything with us, and thank you for all your work. It's incredible. The website, michael-alden.com, A-L-D-E-N. Really, I'm a fan of your work. Appreciate it. Your website is great. We'll talk ahead. So good to have you with me. Thank you again. And, well, folks, the online explosion continues. It's been a game changer. Got a lot coming up right next. It's Malcolm. I'll be right back with you.
Bye for now.